So I would like to welcome Emer O'Neill. Thank you for coming, Emer.
Thank you.
Emer has a vast experience in the charity sector, in mental health, and in well-being. I'm not sure if you kind of agree to that three themes.
Yeah.
How did you get into mental health and the charity sector?
Hi, Georgia. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be here today. How I started in mental health is I started in way back in the 80s. So for over 35 years, I've now been working working with people with mental health problems in different areas and different arenas. But I started as a mental health social worker, working with homeless people in London, and then moved on to working with people that had been in hospitals for a long time, and then we're moving back out into the community, and we did a lot of work around supporting people to get their life back on track. So it was about supporting people, as we talk about, into recovery. So once you've had a mental health problem, we need to really understand that recovery is the key gem that you're working towards, and you can recover, and people will recover with the right level of support. So it was really fascinating for me to sort of really look at all of the sort of really pieces of the jigsaw that needed to be in place, and to understand people, where they were coming from, what the issues were, what triggered their mental health issue, their problem, and how we can work together to really work alongside people to make sure that they get through and they get into the quality of life that people should have and deserve. It's such an interesting question, because it amazes me now when I look back on the whole history of the way that we supported, treated people with mental health problems, and how little we knew way back then compared to what we know now. And so for many years, people with mental health problems were just misunderstood, were often forgotten about, or were diagnosed and treated through the medical model being the one that we will say to you, we will fix you, we will do this to you. And then we began to understand a lot more that with the right level of support, of understanding about well-being, that people then had a much better chance of recovering. So certainly improvements in medicine enabled us to enable people to live doing ordinary things in the community, having ordinary relationships, living in ordinary houses, going back to ordinary jobs. And then with that came that understanding of all of us, not just people with mental health issues, really need to look at the way that we live our lives. And so we became very focused on some fantastic research that came out. It was actually fairly recent in this sort of scheme of things. It was 2009 came out. It was called the 5 Ways to Wellbeing, where there was a national project, piece of research really, that looked at what we need to do to maintain our own wellbeing.
Did it change the way you work with Depression Alliance, or all through mental health? Is it something that took on board all types of mental health, or
yes,
more one side, or?
It's really interesting. I think the key to the success of all of this, and certainly when I was Chief Executive of Depression Alliance, we were working very much alongside all of the other services, alongside GPs, alongside who are offering medication or not, alongside psychological therapies, who are offering usually CBT or something like that, as well as medication or not.
CBT for?
Cognitive behavioural therapy.
Okay. Yeah.
And then alongside that, what people still were asking for, and what we knew was going to sort of really be beneficial, was this whole wellbeing agenda. So how you reduce loneliness and isolation to improve your wellbeing. How you look after, how you stay active, how you look after your own body, your own physical well-being, and also about your ability to volunteer, to give back, to get something back, to improve your well-being, and also about understanding what we talk about take notice, which is about mindfulness, meditation, just being able to understand where you are in the middle of your day, and stop and breathe and think about you, and think about the situation, and appreciate where you are and the benefits you're in. So in all of that, then I was fortunate enough to, after I left Depression Alliance after 10 years.
It was up to 2016.
2016, yes. And sorry, within that period then, what we did was this is the lovely connection with Bodyology, because as a graduate myself, I had studied Bodyology really to understand more of the impact of well-being, the impact of massage, and how we can connect that.
Why did you choose massage as an example of complementary therapy, of something that can improve well-being? Why not something else? Why not meditation? Or maybe it was along the line of meditation. Why do you think massage was for you flagged to be more effective?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yes, I know. It's really.
Is it a personal decision?
It was a personal decision, and one that certainly for me, because I'm a very physical person. I do a lot of sport. I've got a lot of energy, and the way that I relax is by doing that.
Yeah.
So why and however much I sort of really understand and love and would recommend the value of mindfulness meditation, it's not the way that I relax. And so I wanted to do something that was really about giving people it was about touch as well. It was about giving people the opportunity to relax through something physical. So massage, I knew that would be good for me. I like the movement, like the exercise, like the dance, as you talked about the dance. I remember in the first sessions.
You have to do that.
I remember that, and I've watched the students come out of it since. It made me smile last week, and then also about certainly for years of working alongside people with depression. We often concentrate on talking therapies and talking things, and this was just being able to sort of really touch people and not talk.
Yeah, I think that when I'm coming to massage, it was quite interesting that I came from more of a medical background as an osteopath, so it was kind of, a lot of people kind of looked down at massage actually. But what I found out that there is a huge amount of personal gain you can have from that, and this is something that I find by surprise. I didn't think much about massage when I started, and so you've had kind of a different journey. You felt right away that there is some merit within that to help mental health.
Well, it wasn't right away. I mean, this is what's interesting about the whole process is about the time that we're in now. Not just for people with mental health issues, but for us all. We're now our level of understanding around how we maintain well-being, to avoid becoming unwell, to avoid getting into the stressors that can trigger, say, a period of depression or anxiety or another type of mental illness or addiction or anything else. So now our level of understanding is so much better. So for me, as a clinician coming back from the mental health background, I could see my journey and my path thinking, really, I must know more about this, and then I must bring it back into the field of mental health, and I must do it from listening to what our people that are using our services need. And when we talk to people throughout our time at Depression Alliance, it was really clear that there was never going to be one thing that was right in somebody's recovery.
Oh, definitely not. I think it's on a personal level. Some people link with one, link with another one. And it's all about the connection between how do you feel. Some people are very tactile, some people are quite not. So it's I think what the connection I have with well-being and massage is really the movement and the connection, really, the touch, the skin to skin. I think the movement is quite amazing when you just really kind of almost like plug into the universal energy, and you just can feel that something carries you, something that is bigger than you. So it's very much about not thinking, but not thinking as in meditation. I think maybe as someone who likes to relax through doing, you might feel the same thing, that actually the relaxation through movement, you kind of just tap into the movement and you're feeling as united to that, and it's a very accessible energy that we all can whatever we want, just tap into it.
Yes, I think that was right, and that came as a real surprise when I did the course myself. I remember it very early on, you calling it the dance, and just thinking, oh, great, and it was what we learned after that then was the skill and the technique that went to the tears that went on top of the dance, but to allow yourself to be able to sort of really move and to be able to keep your hands on the person. And for me, the message was and still is with our clients is that we're here together going through your pain.
Yeah.
And,
I think there is also a message of simplicity.
Completely.
It's all that, I don't know, sometimes drugs and treatment that involves, and sometimes you just say, you are a human being the way you are. You're completed the way you are. Just find a way to relate to others, and it's all be fine.
Yeah.
It's not about thinking. It's not so much about analyzing.
Yeah.
There is just go back to the river of life and dance with it, massage with it.
Yeah.
And I think there is also that sensation of giving.
Yes.
That it's really empowering you. And I really like what
Yeah.
you've said about the part of the five
ways to well-being.
sorry,
5 ways to well-being.
5 ways to well-being.
Mm.
One is actually, what can you offer
Mm.
to others? It's really empowering. It's like, as a teenage, how can you cook?
Yeah.
As a young adult, how can you provide something? It makes you completely proud.
Absolutely.
In our society that it's all about consumerism, I think really we shoot ourselves in the leg a little bit with not being able to empower people to do something complete.
Yeah.
Don't be part of a system for once.
Yeah.
Do something complete from A to Z. It's yours, and no need batteries, no need Wi-Fi, and it's you and other people. And I think that people with mental health, there's so much passing from one hand to another.
Yeah.
That empowerment of you giving can be quite strong. How was your experience with that?
It's really, it's fantastic just what you said, actually, because it brings it back to why, and this is a really good conversation, because it really is making me think about where I made the connection. And very often I do things and then think about them later, and but this one, there was a sort of subconscious level to this, and it really is about I think what you're just talking about for me is what we refer to as assets. You're asset based. We're building a community based on our assets, not on what people can do and what people have got to offer, rather than us treating people who are sick and isolated and telling them what they need. And this is what massage is doing. Why we brought massage into Depression Alliance, because it was under a program that we set up called it's not ours. We copied the model that was been done elsewhere, called time banking, where we trade.
Yeah, I remember.
So we trade. So everything was, we were saying to everybody that comes through our doors, not how can we help you.
Yes.
What you can offer. What you can offer. Yeah. Tell me who you are.
Were they surprised?
Very surprised.
Very surprised.
Some people just felt, no, this is not what I came for. I came to be here. I want to be looked after. I want to be
right.
And we were saying, absolutely.
It's so counterintuitive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But this is when the greatness of taking that and actually transforming people the way they think about themselves. You have a lot to offer. You can offer many things to other people, and by that feel empowered, and it's
absolutely. So there's people that were offering translation services. They'd come from other countries, and it was fantastic. You've got languages. Yeah. And there was one woman, she was into her 80s, and she said, I can't do anything, I've got nothing to offer. And she was doing ironing for somebody who worked in the city, and then in return she was getting a hand massage back.
Right.
And
that's beautiful.
And so so it was all of that. And so just, and what the massage brought in was, giving people this sort of confidence. For very often the people that were coming to us, had lost their self-confidence, and physically, mentally, they just felt like they just wanted to disappear.
Yeah,
and actually sort of really putting this body on the table and saying, how amazing, let's build the strength up, let's feel the pain, let's feel the excitement of working. It's always been a fantastic journey. And after I left Depression Alliance, I knew that my next project was going to be something that was really bothering me, which was about how we support people when they start to feel suicidal. So it was really much more extreme, at the extreme end. They've either made a suicide attempt.
Yes. Are there many social workers or charity who work in that field, or specifically about people who feel this is the end of the line for them?
Yeah, I think what happens is that there are some fantastic charities, lifelong charities, big household names that are like the Samaritans, telephone support, and some counselling services you can get. but there's always room for more, because I think what
Mhm.
we've done is we've pulled the rug under the social support that used to be provided in here, and now we've put all of the emphasis and certainly the money and the statutory services has gone into medical support.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree with you.
so the emphasis there
Yeah.
is: where are you medically? Do you need to be in hospital? Do you need to be on medication? Do you need to have access to it?
It's almost we would try to substitute the social fabric
Yeah.
with something more medical, and
Yes.
there is a place for everything.
Yes. Yeah.
But the source, the roots of
Yeah.
every person lies within the social structures that they are in. I think.
That's it. That's it. Because what we've done is
Yeah.
we've pulled the stuff from under people, which provided better access to social supports. We've
Mm.
created loneliness and isolation
Mm.
in our community, and we've created problems within our employment situations and our benefit situation, welfare benefit situations, that have led people to fall into debt. You
Mhm.
combine debt, loneliness and isolation, you've got a problem.
Mm.
So then we don't have the resource in there
Mm.
to support people in that, so we wait until they fall into crisis, and then they end up
Mhm.
in usually at A&E. So we set up this project called Journey of Hope, and we're doing two things. We're working from St Mary's Hospital at the A&E, supporting people who come into crisis there. And then the other side of the project is that we're working with people that have been affected by the Grenfell fire tragedy, which happened last June.
Mhm.
And when we were invited in to work with the people affected by the tragedy over in Grenfell, in West London, we said that we wanted to really put the emphasis onto wellbeing retreats, so that we did that because we knew that there was a very good range of services that are already in place in Grenfell. So there's good medical support, good psychological therapies, good day support services, evening, nighttime support, everything else. But there was nobody really that just saying, where's the resilience? Where do we build the resilience? Where do we go into the community and say, your recovery is something that you have within you?
It's almost like something that politicians would be afraid to say. There is that support that sometimes just makes some people weak. The support may need to empower others to say, right, we're here to support you, but take the hook and go fish. Rather than go fishing, other than here are the fish.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Here's your 6 sessions of psychological therapies.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying is, let's get to know you. Let's get to know you. Where are the things that you have within you that will help this?
Mm-hmm.
And in order to build that trust and to build that network, and to look, and with the knowledge that the people have all the talking therapies at their fingertips, they're in place, fantastic. Access to GPs, access to medication, if it's right or not, their choice. And so this big piece of the jigsaw is sitting here, and this is where when I was building these retreats, and just was fairly recent, was that you were my really one of my first ports of call. I thought I'd go back to Bodyology here, because I want to know that I'm going to bring therapists on who really understand. I want to be able to work with people who are affected by trauma, who are very distressed, who are some there's a lot of bereavement issues. There's people that have physical pain themselves, and I needed to know that I was getting people who both had a really because of the quality of the course, really, which has brought me back to you. It wasn't just the physical stuff; it was the academic knowledge, that they would know what they were dealing with and know when to step out or to step in.
I think very much. I think that it's quite interesting that you're saying that it's almost like the core is, there is something within the core that it does involve the theory, knowledge and massage skills, but how do you sometimes just put it aside because you have a person? And it was quite interesting because I've just renewed the website, and there was a lot of thinking through, the words or the ethos, the philosophy behind. So I've come up with, there is always that science and art. But one thing that I haven't really noticed is the accumulation of more of what I would call humanistic approach. That You know, sometimes there is a consultation and you need to kind of talk about muscles and shoulder pain, and sometimes you just leave it because there is a human being here in front of you, and they will teach you what they need. So sometimes you just have to take it away, all what you've learned, and really concentrate with a person. And it's quite interesting because the more I teach, the more I've realized how important that part. Yes, muscles are there. Yes, joints are there, but the people who we are, you know, on an individual level, there is a secret and a wonder from each one of us. And you need to sometimes just concentrate and stop that, you know, which muscle I'm going to work on. You know. So it is a process of actually understanding that the humanistic approach is far more important, or balanced too. And then the next question is, how do you teach that to next generation students, graduate, that they're coming from from a different approach, and they want to get into treating people in massage, and I find that is not something that you can. It's not something that you can teach within the curriculum. Like, okay, now we're teaching humanistic approach. It's more the way of dealing with students. The students themselves. So the process, as if we are a group, and they approach us that every student is like a client. So if you want student to treat clients in one way, then through the course it should reflect that in some way.
I think that's right. And from my understanding of having done the course, I think what happened was that you were actually, throughout the course, you were given you were certainly given the confidence. You knew that what we were getting was good quality, solid learning every year. So you get that was a given. So the academic knowledge. I mean, we really did have to do that homework, or you didn't get through, and the number of the case studies and stuff, and the way the case studies were managed and assessed was very important. So you actually there was feedback to say, well done, and understanding that you were actually building that rapport with people, and then the conversations that you had with other students. And certainly within the course, it was encouraged, those conversations to talk about the environment that you were creating and the space to talk, but that you weren't counsellors. Because for me, when you got in trouble, when you pretend to be something that you're not,
it's completely fascinating.
Really thin line.
Completely fascinating. And it just reminds me as a teacher, when I come to sometimes the course to teach, and I'm not sure if you have this experience, but sometimes I feel that all I need to do is just not interrupt to students to do what they're there. Because you bring students together, you create the environment, you create this touch, beautiful classroom supportive environment, and then things would happen by itself almost. And just don't interrupt people. Let them give massage to each other, let them give feedback to each other, let them talk about talk about who they are, what do they need. Let's interrupt. It's fascinating.
And you did provide that for us, because that then what happened was then we would do the formal feedback in the classroom environment, but then we went out for lunch and said, that didn't happen. I really want, this was, did you feel that person's really good? And that we were in discussions then, and then we would get the tube home, and then we'd talk by email, and so we became a group, and there was an honesty and we were all learning and bringing into this stuff. It was very, and this is, it's been so. And I knew really when I got to the position when we were building these retreat days, that's what I knew, that I was coming to you to advertise, and I knew that whatever I got would be somebody at least would have those set of core values, and then the bonus on top, and they would have to want to come to us.
How did it go? It was the second day.
We've done twice. We advertised a couple of months ago, and to run these one day. They're initially going to be one day, and then we'll slowly build them up. We're starting in London, we're starting very near to Grenfell, and where the community are, and still are struggling with lots of housing issues and lots of just terrible trauma still. But as we build our network and we get, again, the trust will move out of London and build. So our 4 massage therapists joined us for our first retreat, which was in February. And I had interviewed them and talked to them, and people understood what they were coming into. And they were amazing. And what made me really smile on the day was that they all arrived and all just clicked into Bodyology styles. They just, there was just really the efficiency about time, which you absolutely.
Oh God, yeah.
That was it. And
that's the core, really. I think. Yeah.
They arrived with good quality, all the good quality bed sheets, everything very
readiness.
Efficient. They came,
readiness.
Very important.
Well, I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you stressed that. You didn't arrive with your kid. You could go home. And so they arrived out of that, and then they were straight in. They were very fast, efficient. They did their they shared the sheets.
The consultation
forms.
Yeah.
They all had those, and they all worked from the same one, and they just clicked into it as if they were in a classroom environment again.
Fascinating.
And the wonderful. I just knew it because I knew what they were thinking. And the great thing about we were bringing in the majority of our clients are Moroccan or a mixture of men and women. And I thought, there's no way. We'd one private room, one shared room. I thought, my goodness, this was going to be a problem here. Right. But with the confidence that they had and the tall management skills. That they, we had one screen, and they just instantly made people feel at ease and just were super. And then that word went out. It's okay. You can go in and
I think when you're working with few therapists, there is a point where the whole room is kind of transformed. I don't know. It's about sometimes it's about the movement. Sometimes it's about the kind of synchronization of working together, and then suddenly you feel that the atmosphere in the room changed. So it's quite interesting to see that even in a group that didn't have any relation to massage before, that there was an effect, even on those who haven't had massage. It's just, I think it's just, massage needs to be beautiful to watch as well.
Yes.
Not in the terms of a performance, but it's as a sense of just watching the person who does the massage, because you need to be blissed in order to give bliss. Yeah. You can't just be empty and having not that great posture. You need to really feel like your Tai Chi, the channel, the Chi move through you, and then it's just abundance to all.
This is what was really interesting. Actually, it was good. I knew that there was something. It was a really lovely, reflective day for me just to look at. But I wasn't actually sure why it was all of that. And every so often, I would just sort of really peep in, or when I was bringing new people in, or something else. I just exactly did that. I just watched them, and they were really enjoying it, and they were just moving together. In the thing, and it was something. If I brought them in from different schools or different things, you wouldn't have got that. They just had always just sort of really clicked back into thing. And then there was one. Myra was working in the room on her own, mainly for women that didn't want to share. And we honestly, the most amazing thing was there was one woman came, one of the first women that came in. She was just angry. I mean, she was just angry and. Turned out she was angry because she was in physical pain. She was in, so she came in. She was a lot of physical pain, but we didn't know this at the time. She just came in and was shouting about wanting this, blah blah, and so we very quickly introduced her to Emily, and she just and so and with by the end of the day, this woman came out and she was just melting, and she was. She had done some mindfulness and some yoga, and she had nice food.
Oh, wonderful!
And nobody criticised her for being so angry at the beginning or anything else. But and the next Saturday she came back, and she was still angry again because she'd got there first and she wanted to think. And then exactly the same thing. She just saw Emily and her face just melted.
Was it faster second time for her?
That was her second time, but she immediately wanted to go back to Emily. And then there were people that said, look, they'd only wanted a woman therapist, and we said, well, okay, you can, but you're going to have to wait for a bit longer. But can we introduce you to Jonathan? And he was so charming, and so I understand if you want to, but let's talk. And so on his own bat, he went out and talked to them. In they went. So it just broke down so many cultural barriers and so many of people's sort of ideas about this stuff. Some people came in and said they wanted to keep their clothing on, they're fine. And there was just, it was really, and you know, and then the therapists come out and we all eat lunch together, and lots of chat and lots of things. Very magical space, and very much for me and our bodyologists, we know there's a bodyology stamp on that part of the retreat. And the great thing was, one of the great things was we had just a little bit of feedback. We haven't actually allowed ourselves enough time to debrief afterwards. We get to 4 o'clock and then we have this massive clear up and then we have to skedaddle. But what we did was we had about 10 minutes on the first day really, and we come out and just said, how was it? And one of the therapists just said, you know, she said, today was just amazing. She said, today's the first day that I've really felt like a therapist. You know, it's just, and she was, because she'd been working in a beauty parlour type thing, and she said with people that didn't respect her or that
I wish
didn't
there
treat
were
her.
more of that, really more of that. And there is almost that the sense that those who really need it sometimes don't get enough, and those who indulge get a little bit too much of everything. So you know, hopefully the balance, and I think you're doing great in kind of balancing everything, of taking those who can offer and to those who need, but with a wonderful twist of telling those who need, actually you have a lot to offer. If you look at yourself at the mirror, and convincing them that actually there is an abundancy here within themselves, and they are as powerful as they can imagine, even about them, and just convince them that by small steps they can do amazing things.
Well, this exactly. I mean, this woman that was very angry when she came, she was like, I want a massage, I'm here for a massage and nothing else. And then she came to think, by the end of the day, she was helping us clear up, she was helping us cook, she was in the thing, and she felt like she was running the show. You know, of course, it's...
wonderful.
We believe in you, and so it's, you know, and so when we swamp the day with kindness, just human kindness, not monetary kindness, it's just human kindness.
It's crossing all barriers and all bridges. It's quite amazing. And you know, I must say that for myself, it took me on a surprise, this coming from more of a medical idea about massage, how massage can help pain, and actually realizing the potential it has on a humanistic level, and even the therapist, the amount it gives you as a therapist or as a giver is quite fascinating. And sometimes when I don't do enough of it, I'm kind of missing it. It's really almost like, thank you for allowing me to do it, because I must be relaxed. I must like what I'm doing. I can't have more of a negative things, because it's just interrupting really the flow. And by doing it enough time, you identify it, and then you're saying, right, this is it. I have an hour now, no one interrupt me. I can just flow with it. I can feel my body, I can feel their body, I can feel where I can help, and and then the client saying thank you. So that's a huge bonus.
The feedback has been outstanding, and to be able to give that back to the therapist is amazing. No, we all come out of there feeling tall. You know, we stand tall, and
it does make you feel better.
Oh, it's just
it's kind of a drug by itself.
It's a drug. It's a privilege. It's an absolute. You know, it's a real honour to think. You know, to think about especially with this, because we're dealing with a crisis situation and a trauma, and you know, people's journey. We're not going to naively think that one afternoon of massage is going to solve it by any stretch. That all that we're doing is that we're just passing on this feeling of well-being and the value of that fact. We're going to stand with you, and we're going to be there with you, and we're going to walk through it. And you know, your recovery is in you. Your resilience
Absolutely.
is in you. And
that's a nice way to put it. The recovery is within you. You know, all you need to do is just
wait and come work.
Dust it off.
Yes, don't be scared.
Yes, don't be scared to dust it off. Don't be scared to come back to be strong.
Don't mask it. Don't mask it with anger or booze or frustration.
We all do that.
We all do that.
We all do
Human
that
nature.
sometimes.
Human nature. Please understand when you are doing it. That's the thing.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, and don't take yourself too serious.
Yeah.